Our today's guest is Alida Morrill. She is an energy coach and a founder of the Balance Your Life. She helps people activate self-awareness, balance their energy, live a life that's harmonious and joyous. So welcome, Alida.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. And we already started having our little conversation before the recording, and I'm very excited to talk to you. So let's start by you explaining to our audience, what is an energy coach and what is it that you actually do?
Okay, that's an amazing question. And I get asked that question like at cocktail parties. And my quick answer there is that, well, I help people get rid of their bad juju, right? Because they want to make me an energy like electricity energy coach. Okay, so that starts the ball rolling. And let me go on further to say that my gifts allow me to work with people and to take them from let's say point A to point B. And where they are is they're having trouble with money, or they're having issues with health or their job. And so I take people from a couple questions. So I ask them, well, what's not working in your life? And then we talk about that a little bit. And then I ask them, well, what would you rather have? And of course, it's always the opposite, but correct. So cup half empty and then cup half full. And then I ask the most important question. I ask them to help me create an intention statement. So it's an intention statement for their life. It could be that they want to be on their perfect path to their purpose. It could be that they want perfect health, but it's some shift and change that for them is really big. And then my gifts as an energy coach is to walk through my protocol and find all of the energies that are keeping them from reaching that intention. All right. And I then clear those non-beneficial and even in some cases, dark energies that are bothering them.
So give us an example of maybe like, can you think of a specific client? You don't have to name them or anything, but just a specific sort of story when somebody came in with certain issue, and that what did it look like sort of where they started, like the point A, and then the point B where they completed this work with you?
Okay, great. I work in so many areas. I work with maybe the wife and she's having trouble with a husband in the relationship. I work with people with incredibly bad health, and they want to free up the energies that helps move that forward. And I work with relationships. Relationships is so bigger than just the husband and wife, but it's when, kind of the wheels are falling off and a person has no idea what to do with their teenage child. I think a good example would be the health issue. I had a client recently who was having tremendous headaches, okay? And they were debilitating, is the word, and they were really stopping them in their work. And so they came in, and so that's, in a way, to me, a simple problem, right? So they came in, and I did talk about other things going on in their life because I wanted to understand the stressors, okay? And what I found is that they were carrying a very dark energy, and that dark energy they picked up at work, okay? And so we did remove that, all right? And then we did check into work to see what I could do so that energy wasn't there anymore. And I do that, okay? And then we went on to find that they also had some issues. I would call it generational. So sometimes my clients will have maybe a grandparent that's kind of in their energy field. And so I need to find that energy, and I need to clear it. And I clear it by clearing the grandfather. Let's say it was a grandfather. I clear the grandfather. I find what that grandfather needs, and then it releases and goes away. And so I found out that in this particular person, she did have a situation where her family, there was generational issues with headaches. Okay. And so that particular clearing really, really did help her. Now, one thing that's important is that before I finish with a client, I look at a lot of other factors. Number one is really important that they carry the proper amount of energetic protection. Okay. So I shift the energies around their protection and teach them how to protect themselves. And then the next thing I do is I'll teach clients really a way to stop their stinking thinking. Okay. So a lot of times we think ourselves into issues or problems. And so I teach a tool that helps them think positively. You know, we manifest what we think. And if we think negative things, we're going to manifest that in our life. And so I haven't really finished a client until I've not only cleared their energy, I've put on their protection, and then I've given them tools so that they don't fall in those traps again.
Okay. So what component do you see self-responsibility plays within this journey that the client is doing?
That's so important. I find that everybody needs to take care of their own energy. So I don't prescribe that a person comes to me every week to clean their energy and then they go off and live their life, come back and get cleaned up again and go off. I teach people how it happened, what they can do to prevent it, and ultimately take charge of their own energy and their own. Most of my clients end up, they might just come see me, but they may most often end up on an awareness level journey, right? They start, this is interesting, I like this, and so they will come back, but for more help on their journey. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely. And do you see that a lot of your clients end up with the current issue that they're having because it's a projection of the past trauma or issue onto the current and sometimes into the future even? So they're sort of like repeating the cycle, not realizing that they are in the cycle until you kind of hone them into the idea.
You're so correct with that. And here's another interesting part is that these energies that the people bring to me, that's on them, that I release, when I release them, they're gone forever. They don't come back, because it's really important that we take people to stages and get whatever that issue was, get them up to the next one. Most people will end up with another problem. Maybe the girl that had the headache is going to come back because she lost her job. Mm-hmm. And now she knows that I can help her figure out what went wrong in the job that she lost it. Did she do anything wrong? Also projecting forward to get a job she keeps for a long time. So it can move from one topic to another. Maybe 50% of my clients don't come back again. And it's not because they didn't like me. It's because their problem was solved and they learned to even solve it on their own. They became more, as you call, self-aware.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is very important to teach somebody to understand themselves. So in your work, you're using energetics, you are working with their field. Are you clairvoyant, clairaudient? Do you sensory perception-wise perceive energy? Like, can you speak a little bit about how you work with energy?
Yes, my gifts are clear knowing. I don't know how I know that I know that I know. Yes, my head is just filled with the answer. As a matter of fact, when I do my work, I use a pendulum because I want to prove that what I'm getting is correct. So I'm proving the information that's coming to me that, yes, that's correct, because I don't want to ever have my transmission attacked of one way or another. So my main gift is clear knowing. I don't see energy. I have experienced all of the senses. I have my hearing, my taste, all of those things I've had the opportunity to experience, but it's not my main gift.
So when you work with somebody, you tune into them and then information drops into your crown chakra. And then from there, you're able to articulate that to the person and help them shift.
Exactly. I love that question. I find that I sometimes even have the answer before I have the question.
Mm-hmm.
Information just flows into me, and I think, well, what was that for? Oh, okay, right.
Well, yeah, that's because the energy field checks in before the linear time. So before the person arrived to asking a question, you already got the answer. Yeah,
Yeah, and
that happened a lot as well.
Before the client even comes, I'm hearing things. But you know what the biggest challenge has been to use my gifts? I've been doing this work since I opened up in 2009, and I started creating my protocol that I use in my work in 2010, 1 year later. And so I've been doing this for almost 13 years. And the hardest thing for me was to act on what I was hearing. Okay. I was like, oh, do I tell them that? Oh, what? And so when I was first doing the work, I was validating everything. And now I just let it go. It just comes out. And so it's amazing how much more confident I feel as
Yeah,
time.
and that's actually an issue that I think a lot of clients have when they start to open up their multidimensional and energetic perceptions, is that they start to receive information, but then the ego self wants to check it, track it, prove it. And as soon as we do that, we actually pervert or distort the information we're getting. So
Absolutely.
it's a kind of a tricky part to get out of your own way.
Yes. That's so true. And so it just feels so much more flowing now, versus when I first started. So I think that's interesting.
So what was the biggest lesson that you had to learn in order to do this work that led you to doing this work?
Believing in myself, believing that I could receive this information, that I was something special, that I could speak my mind and it be truth. I think that's the biggest one. My year of waking up was it was terrifying at times, because part of my gift is dark energy. And so I was experiencing it left, right, and center. And that was scary to me. And I needed to tackle it, and I did. And it doesn't bother me anymore. I'm just glad I don't see it. So I think that would be the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest misconceptions out there is that people think when they open up spiritually and able to perceive energy, which, so many people saying like, oh, I wish I was psychic. I wish I could feel things and see things and hear things. They don't realize that when you open up, you kind of open up to everything, the good and the bad, the light and the dark. And then you have to have enough self-mastery to navigate that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And honestly, I have a feeling of almost Superman about me. I feel like those dark energies and anything that's non-beneficial, I leave it in the dust. And that I have raised my vibration so much that it puts me in a position of really being able to help people no matter what they come in with.
Yeah. And to me, the higher frequencies sort of like negate the existence of the lower, because when you go into higher energy, it naturally becomes more and more harmonious. So the more one raises their vibration, the more they are sort of not living in the territory where they constantly need to defend or protect or whatever from any kind of a darker energy, because it's just not there anymore.
Right.
That only exists in the lower realms. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of people live in the typical human sort of existence on this planet. There's a lot of lower astral energies and emotional energies that are distorted or projected out to create that kind of a muddy field, which is probably what you were talking about when you're talking about a lot of the dark stuff that people kind of like don't even realize is there, but they're just swimming in the swamp until they raise the frequency to go beyond it.
Yes, exactly. That's so true.
Yeah. And I found in my work, which probably would, work with yours as well, is that when I don't do protection of any kind because I just vibrate higher. So my, in quotes, protection, it's just me being me. Because I'm able to be in the higher frequency, there is nothing to defend against. Because of that, I can. So I think that that's kind of the point here too. It's just when somebody starts this journey, they might not be at that frequency yet. So they might need to understand how to create a proper boundary.
That's exactly what I was talking about. From my perspective, I don't even stop to think about protection. That's not part of my existence, right? All
Mm-hmm.
I think about is how I'm just going to spew this beautiful energy around, and my
Exactly.
house has to feel light, and my car has to feel great, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I experience life in a whole different perspective than my clients.
Yeah. So what would you say you would do with your clients, or how would you suggest to people in the audience would be the best way for them to start raising their vibration in the everyday life? So if they just kind of go through their life, is there specific thoughts that they can be thinking or actions they can be doing? Like, what can you advise as the way to sort of like have a higher vibe life in general?
A higher vibe life is the very first thing, is that one has to think positive. You can't think negative and expect to have a beautiful life, because every thought is going to bring something into your life. Okay. Thoughts become things. And so if I'm looking at my watch and walking out the door and I say, I'm going to be late, I am,
You're
right?
gonna be late. Yeah. You've just programmed yourself to be late.
Exactly. So, but if I think positive, I don't know how I arrive on time. I will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah,
okay. So the first step would be to shift their thoughts, which probably would be to become aware of their thoughts in order to shift them, because most
right.
people have no idea what they're thinking on a daily basis. So then what? What would you advise then? So let's say, okay, she's aware of her thoughts. She's trying to think positively, but negative emotions and thoughts still kind of creep in. What
Mm-hmm.
would she do then?
Then the next thing that I would do is I'd ask people to think about, what are they thinking about? What are their problems, right? Every problem needs a solution. So my life, I don't have any issues. I've none. I have a beautiful life every day. I can't wait for every day to start. I can't wait for every day to end and put my head on the pillow. It's beautiful, one step after the next. And so I talk to people about, well, why can't your life be like that? So what are your issues, and how are you going to get them behind you? I think that's the big one. So if there is a health issue, have you gone to all the right doctors? Have you really uncovered everything? It's bigger than just, if you're thinking about negative energy in a life, it's everything that you're doing to take everything one step forward. So that to me is how I live my life, and that's what I
Mm-hmm.
would suggest. Mhm.
So, what role do you think avoidance plays in people not becoming high vibe and masterful?
Oh, big time, big time, big time. So many people avoid, they avoid they avoid the problems that are existing in their family because no one's communicating. They avoid the fact that they're going to this job every day and they hate it. They're avoiding the fact that they should take charge of their life and take every part of their life. So it's their job, it's their home life, it's their hobbies. Everything should have a purpose, and everything should be um, happy. It should just not be a drudge where we don't think about it. We have to dissect every aspect of our life and peel it back to the heart, what's in the heart of what we really want to achieve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, what you do is balancing energy. So, do you utilize support from the planet or from energy guides or angels? Like, do you work with other spiritual community, or is this more of a pure energy that goes through you when you work with someone?
Well, I'm using the pure energy that's coming through me because that's how I know what to do. But I do
Mm-hmm.
work with the archangels big
Mm-hmm.
time. So they're a major part of my work. As a matter of fact, if I was to talk about, so that these people that come in with dark energy, I found I can't clear it. Every time I tried to clear it, it backlashed on me. And I went, well, that's not going to work. So what I do is name it. I then create a clearing for it, and then I ask Archangel Michael to clear it. And he does such a good job. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
using the angels to do some of the work. And it actually, then the client, when I've cleared this energy, they go, oh, I feel better. Oh, there's a weight off my shoulders. Or they say, I just feel lighter now that that's gone. Okay. So I think the angels are really important to me, and the archangels are especially important.
Mhm.
So one other comment is that I feel like I'm in a, there's a point at the top and it comes down around me. And I feel like within this space that I have everyone that's a support to me. I call it my power team. The archangels are on it. It goes all the way up to God. And so I don't, other than asking Archangel Michael to clear the dark, I don't specifically ask anyone, but they're all there, and I know one of them's going to take it and do it for me, and it's going to go as high as it needs to go in because of the situation. That's how I
Mhm.
look.
That's great. Yeah. And it's so important to understand that there's always support around us, not
Mhm.
just like you or I who are doing this work, who are the teachers or mentors, but every person has their own support team one way or
Yes,
another. So
yes,
sometimes in the dark moments, it's very important to remember that you're not alone, even if physically you might be
absolutely.
alone at the moment, but you actually energetically never alone.
Right. I agree with that. As I said, I call it my power team.
That's awesome. So, if you could define what is your mission in life? This is Conscious Coaches on the Mission. So, what's your bigger vision? What's the mission? Why are you here on Earth this time around?
This is so much fun because I feel like I'm healing the world one person at a time. I feel like every person that comes in to see me is so special, and I create a relationship with them, and then I'm on to the next one, and then the next one. And some of them come back, and it's just, it's so, everyone builds me a bigger feeling. So I feel like, yeah, I'm going to tackle the world one person at a time. Hmm.
And what world are you bringing them into?
I am bringing them into a lighter world, a brighter world, a world that is going to, I feel like at some point we really are going to ascend. I feel like everybody that I'm dealing with is moving maybe from third to fourth to fifth dimension. I feel their energy expanding. And so I feel like there's a greater world out there that we are headed towards. Mhm.
This is so needed right now on the planet because people are really getting a little bit confused, and with the so many systems falling apart, the individual mastery becomes more and more important.
I agree.
Yeah. And I know you have free gift for us. So what would that be? Can you talk a little bit about that?
I sure can. I would like you to go to awakeninglifeenergy.com. And when you opt in, then I'm going to send you 7 videos. Each video is the gift of a tool. It's one of my favorite energy clearing or balancing or grounding tools. They're keys to awakening, healing life energy. So there's grounding, there's how there's shielding yourself from negative energies. I have how to transmit life energy from your hands. I mean, it's a variety of the tools that I like to use in my work. Mhm.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm sure the audience would love that. So the link to that free gift from Alida is in the show notes, and you can find her on Energy Balance for You, 4 is a number.com. Check out her other work. So thank you so much, Alida, for being here. This
You're
was a
welcome.
beautiful conversation. You shared your perception and your wisdom. So thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you.